In Search of Knowledge, Past, Present, and Future is a series of unique programs that are designed to show our history as a living history rather than just a list of names and facts about people in the past. It is a Black history lesson, a vocational tool to interest people in various occupations, and a mini museum containing books, artifacts, and photos of notable Blacks, bringing an original art exhibit directly to the classroom. Welcome to In Search of Knowledge. Tonight marks the 4th anniversary of this show, and while I am pleased to celebrate the occasion, it also marks the end of this part of the In Search of Knowledge project. I am ending the TV show because I have to get to work on preserving the body of work that makes up the In Search of Knowledge project. The title, In Search of Knowledge, came from my desire to see the individuals I photographed because of some knowledge they had. Often I went to hear them talk about a book they had written, an idea they had presented, some artistic endeavor, or just because they were popular. The project brings an original art exhibit directly to the classroom that can be tailored to the audience. It also includes books, autographed books, newspaper and magazine articles featuring the individuals, notes from workshops or lectures, the TV show itself, and various artifacts. This project began because I wanted to photograph notable Blacks. My love of photography came from looking at Gordon Parks' work in Life magazine when I was a child. Too often, the Black community or people of color are portrayed in photographs as objects to be pitied. Mr. Parks showed they were human beings deserving of respect and dignity despite their circumstances. He used his camera to change the way America dealt with racism, and his ability to capture people on film was mesmerizing. I saw how photography can connect people around the world. Today's youth and adults often know little about Black history and are unaware of the vast possibilities that exist in terms of the various talents and occupations in our communities. I wanted to show teens and adults that history is a living, ongoing process. I use this picture of my mother and daughter as the opening piece to the project because it represents how we usually pass information on, from a parent or grandparent to a child, generation to generation. As part of this project, I also used my photo of the Door of No Return, which was taken in Senegal on the island of Gorée. Slaves were loaded onto the ships through this door. It was the last time they would touch Africa. I use it to remind us of where we came from and the struggles we've had to conquer to survive. My motto is, if it's not harder than the Middle Passage, you have no right to give up. You get 15 minutes for crying. After that, deal with it. But tonight is about celebrating my guests from this past year. They include the following individuals. Chandra Daniels is a professional comedian, and after talking with her, I see comics in a different light. Miss Daniels is also a seasoned professional with a diverse background in the corporate, education, and nonprofit sectors. She has helped people at all economic levels get the education and training they need. Lamont Steptoe is a Vietnam vet, an award-winning poet, photographer, independent publisher, and activist. He has won the American Book Award, the Pew Fellowship of Arts Award, and he was inducted into the International Hall of Fame for Writers of African Descent by the Gwendolyn Brooks Center in Chicago, Illinois. Carolyn Morell is an amazing woman who at 102 still enjoys traveling to see her family. A licensed practical nurse, she said working with babies was the best job she had. She shared her health tips to a long, healthy life that includes the importance of exercising. Harold J. Copeland has volunteered at various organizations for over 38 years. A career military man, Mr. Copeland retired as a Master Sergeant from the Army after 31 years. He worked for the U.S. Post Office, retiring as a Human Resource Specialist. Ulysses Gamage is the co-owner of the Father and Son Shoe Repair Shop, which was established in the 1960s in Northeast Philadelphia. Mr. Gamage makes orthotics and provides other services to help us understand the importance of taking care of our feet. He also loves motorcycles and considers himself a student of pool. Tara Allridge is a career educator who provides temporary educational staff for charter schools and independent agencies. Mary May works in the mental health field and focuses on women's issues, including healthy relationships and domestic violence. I interviewed them together to address the impact education and mental health issues are having on our communities. This year, the presidential election made me curious about the Constitution, and I wanted to show how it impacts us in our everyday life. My hope was to generate interest in the Constitution so that we can begin to fully understand what rights we have and why we have to work to protect them. The journey became a 3-part series. In Part 1, I visited the National Constitution Center and Constitution High School with my interns. In Part 2, we explored the issues of immigration and the freedom of the press with Ryan Sanders, a video media expert, and Eric Enzaribe, publisher of Funtime magazine. In Part 3, we talked to Jennifer Williams, an attorney and law professor, about the Constitution and the importance of our right to protest. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Year 4 of In Search of Knowledge. A lot of times our youth don't understand until real life hits them what is important and what you really need to do to set your goals and to go down that path that you really want. So because you've been in education, you said you worked with Hofstra and a number of other places, what advice would you give to parents, especially with all your experiences, what advice would you give to parents to help them raise reasonable, sensible adults?
Listen to your children,
Okay.
and speak with them. Don't tell them what you think they should do, because while we're parents and we want to make sure that the world is going to be okay, we all have to have our experiences. And so if your child is saying something that doesn't resonate with you as a parent, that's okay, because it's resonating with them. You might need to go do the homework and find out to help them and guide them. You're a parent. Your job is to help and guide and mold. Now, if they want to do something that you know totally is going to be destructive for their life, of course, I say intervene. But let people explore. You have these times where you just need to have an opportunity to pick and choose, and do it while you're young. Do it while you can. Do it while your parents are allowing you to and can afford to do so.
I can remember when I was in high school discovering the book The Prophet by Khalil Gibran, and the section that he wrote about children. Your children are not your children, they come through you, but they're not of you, and that they're going to see worlds that you've never understood. Our children are brilliant.
Yes.
And I said, yes, that's why my parents don't understand.
Yes.
But then as a parent, I had to take another step back and look at it through different lenses. And so, as you said, if parents can talk to their children, not at them, but talk with them, they're going to have a better relationship with them.
And parents should find adversaries, right? So find the people that support and know your child, and are always saying, oh, Miss B, she's going to be a bright one. She's right. Find out what they see in your child as well, and have them, say, I'm trying to, my child told me something, I'm trying to figure this out, and find adversaries. And for your village, it takes a village to raise your child. These are people in your life to help support and raise.
I can remember there were times when people would say things about, oh, your child is so good, and I'm like, who are you talking about? Because the behaviors that they have with parents can be different with another adult because they have a different type of relationship.
They do.
So when you get that village involved, it really helps. So given all of that, And we haven't really talked in depth about your activism, and you're quite active in the community. Given what's going on today in the world, and you and I were talking about a couple of incidents before we started the interview, what would you like the youth of today to know about being an activist?
Well, you have to be informed, and the only way to be informed is to read. Reading has to be a part of your life as naturally as you take it in air. You have to read. You have to read everything, everything. Chinese writers, Mexican writers, Native American writers. You have to read it all, and just devour books because it empowers you. It gives you the power of the word. Everything begins with the word. Like I have a poem published in this anthology called Def Jam, a Def Jam poetry anthology, sponsored by Russell Simmons.
Okay.
And the poem goes like this. In black churches, I saw what the word could do. Make cripples walk, make others talk in strange tongues, get old arthritic grandmothers out they seats to dance, give dirty low-down sinners another chance, give some folks the strength of 20 men. In black churches, I saw what the word could do. Witness testified, heard gospel from African souls. In black churches, I was chiseled into speech and thunder.
Wow. And that's what activism is truly about.
Yes.
It's not just about being on the street to hold up a sign. It's about what you do before and after you hit the streets.
Well, like Ishmael Reed said, he has a book called Writing is Fighting.
Okay.
Writing is fighting. You have to be, Langston Hughes said, a poet must hang themselves with their own words.
Oh, and
know.
don't we do that? Okay. Tip number 3, exercising with a group. Why is that important?
Well, as I said, you have to get up and move. These bones will just dry up, and
But why with a group? Why is doing it with a group important?
I think it's easier for you to do with the group than by yourself. But there are times I have done it with some music on.
Okay.
I stand and do some exercise, kick out the legs. I couldn't get my sister to do exercise. I said, what's so hard about exercising? Get up and move yourself. Your arms, we exercise from the head all the way down to the feet.
Okay.
We do that twice a week.
Okay.
And I believe in it because as much as I like to be traveling, I want to be in pretty good health so I can move.
Okay. So could you show me one exercise that I could do with you?
Well, we do work our legs like this.
Okay.
Our legs like this, and let's see, what else do we do? And our arms,
Just out? Okay.
in and out and out, and up and down, and up and down.
Okay.
We do those kind of exercises.
Okay.
And there are some we turn over on the side like that, and over on this side like this.
Okay.
We do that.
Well, we just did an exercise video.
Right?
Okay.
All right.
Tip number 6. Do what the doctor says.
Amen.
Why is that so important?
Why? Because the doctors have been to college and they know your body.
Okay.
But so many particular men, I'm not too sure about the women, but they think they know. They know what. One young fellow, I'd known him all his life. He had diabetes and his leg was bandaged up. I said, are you one of those that think you know it all, Ray? No, ma'am. I said, well then how come you're wrapped up and I'm not? I said, because I do what the doctors tell me.
So when were you diagnosed with diabetes?
I guess it's been probably about maybe 6 years ago, I guess.
Mother, you were in your 60s when you got diabetes?
Was I?
Yes.
So
Okay.
what do you do that the doctor tells you to do with your diabetes?
Well, I suppose the first place you're supposed to eat right and eat your 3 meals and a snack at night.
Okay.
Your 3 meals in a day
Okay.
and a snack at night. That's the most important. That's what they told me, and that's what I do.
Okay. And you've had no problems with the diabetes?
No.
Wonderful.
No, this young man laying up there in the hospital with his leg all wrapped. I said, Ray, what on earth did you do now? He said, well, I guess I thought I knew it all. I said, and you found out you didn't, huh? That's what I believed in.
All right. Well, that takes care of step number 7, which was take care of what you need to do to control diabetes.
Yes, ma'am.
So now we're in the number 8, and this is an important one for our audience to know. Don't give in to minor aches and pain.
Oh, Lord.
Work through them. Don't sit around.
Amen to that.
Why is that so critical?
Why you just gotta keep moving.
Okay.
You gotta keep moving. Why would you want to sit down and then complain on, oh, this hurts, those, because you're not using them.
Okay.
You gotta do what the doctors say. They know more than you know and more than I know. So I follow what doctors. My diabetic doctor, she said, Miss Burrow, you're doing great. She always tells me that.
Well, it sounds like you're an inspiration to a lot of people. So what advice, knowing that we're trying to raise responsible adults, what advice would you give to teens before they become a parent about being a responsible adult?
The first thing I would do is I would say to them, you need to think about your actions, because whatever you do, whatever you say, is going to have consequences to it, whether positive or negative. So early on in life, you need to develop some skills such as having respect for yourself, like I said earlier, respecting others, being responsible. That's very important. Being timely, no matter what you do, whether it's at school, or at home, whatever you may have to do. But morals and values play the strongest point to me when it comes to life skills for young folks. Morals and values, because they're all constantly being bombarded with negativity, peer pressure, every day, 24/7 with social media. So, and that's another piece I'd like to say is social media. Remember, young people, whatever you put on social media, everybody can see it. You may think it's just your friends, employers, educational institutions. They all look on your page to see what you've been writing, what you've been saying, what you've been thinking, and what you've been actually putting on social media, and that can be a deterrent to your life. Yes.
So what was the best advice that your dad gave you?
Well,
Two ways. Best advice as a son and best advice as a businessman and in the business of shoes.
well, he just basically just he taught me to do the best possible job that you can do, and be nice to people, and that's the key. I mean, you always do a nice job, and this way, people will come back and they'll tell their friends.
And that's important, especially in this day and age. People talk about social media, but social media is still that you tell somebody when you've done something good,
Yeah.
and a lot less than when they do something bad. So to have word of mouth help you with your business is important for our teens to understand that their reputation
That's right.
is important.
Well, social media, it's just another way of doing things, but it's all the same. It all goes back to the same thing, word of mouth, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram.
Uh-oh,
doesn't matter.
you're talking to the technology immigrant. You're going beyond me. So what advice would you give to a parent to raise a reasonable, responsible adult?
Ooh, gosh. In this day and age, that could be a whole scroll of stuff.
We can talk about that until next Thursday.
Well, give me at least one thing, because I think a lot of times parents don't understand the impact. I mean, you talked about social media, you talked about phones, but a lot of times what bothers me is I see parents so involved in their phone, just walking a little one to school, that they're not paying attention. Would you recommend that we tell parents to help them understand the importance of their role?
Just to remember that their children are human beings. that they don't own them, but they are responsible for them. And so it is your responsibility to get to know your child, and not every child is the same.
Right. Even
they're-
within your household.
Right, within the same family, not every child is the same. And so taking the time to get to know them constantly as they are growing from little ones to adults, maintain conversations, spend time together.
Get off the phone.
Get off the phone, get out of the house.
Do stuff.
Engage.
Yeah, and
Shut off the electronics. Spend one-on-one time together if you have multiples, because they want that attention.
They do.
They still need you,
They
even as they get
crave
older.
it.
They still
They
need you.
crave that attention. And I think our parents, and that's why I want Mary to comment on this, I don't think our parents understand how important they are to their child.
And children usually don't know always how to put how they feel into words, so their behaviors may disrupt what it is that they think that is more important to you, so that they can get it, be a positive and or negative attention. And if you only come to school when I get suspended or when there's a parent meeting, then I need to create more of those situations, because then that's when you pay attention to me. That's when you show up. You don't show up when I have a dance recital or when I'm having a gymnastics tournament or something like that. You only show up when it's something negative, but then they would need a mediator to kind of help them. The parents recognize they're so, if we're going to use your example, they're so in their phone that they're missing those opportunities of their child's ability to grow up. And each moment is priceless. Like, you're not going to get those back.
Now that you've been studying the Constitution and the impact and the history of it, when you reach the proper age of 18, will you register to vote, and will you vote?
Well, I voted last year. I'm 18, and it was amazing. The outcome wasn't what I wanted, of course, but I still did it because I feel like everyone should vote, and I'm definitely going to encourage my little sister to vote when she becomes of age. And not even for, a lot of people say our vote doesn't matter. It's just when you think of our people who died for the right to vote, women who protested for the right to vote, our ancestors who couldn't vote, it's like, whether or not you feel your vote matters, get out there and vote, because at one time, no one cared whether or not you wanted to. You could not vote. Or if you did want to vote, you have to go through obstacles to vote. So I definitely would encourage people to vote when they turn 18, and it was a really good experience.
Ryan, why is the Constitution important to you?
This Constitution is important to me because without it, it could be definitely an opportunity for leaders and those in power to abuse that power. And, not being a native-born American, coming from another country and knowing how those rights of individuals can be easily taken away by either one individual or a group of individuals, the American Constitution has stood for the rights of the individual.
So why is there so much attention being paid on the immigration issue?
Well, America is a country of immigrants to start with, and it's easy. The rhetoric, the presidential rhetoric, made immigration an issue when practically, but for the natives in America, every other person migrated to this country. And you can go back in history as far as you can go. When the Irish had problems here when they came, and so many other nationalities. It seems like the African and Caribbean community, when you mention immigration now, it seems as if you are targeting the black community, African and Caribbean community especially, because we have immigrants that come from Russia, you have from Europe, and they are not as much a point of discussion as the black immigrants. And I think it's misplaced, such rhetoric or such accusations that immigrants take a job of Americans. I think it's very misplaced.
I have a question for
Okay.
you too. Have you ever attended a protest?
Oh,
And
absolutely.
were you arrested for being at a protest? And what was the outcome of the protest?
I haven't been arrested.
Okay.
And that's the challenge, because I feel like I need to be arrested. I do. What is it? The challenge of our American comforts is that nobody really wants to go to jail.
No.
But I have definitely protested. I mean, most recently, the immigration ban. I definitely, our travel ban. I protested that. I also protested several of the police shootings in D.C. as well as in New York. What other protest?
So what was your favorite method of protest? I mean, there's all kinds of ways
Yes,
to
there is,
protest.
that's true.
So what way do you prefer to protest?
My favorite is probably on social media, my little Facebook Live.
Okay.
Because you get the direct result. I do like group protests. So I did participate in the March on Washington, the Women's March.
Okay.
I like just the feel of that, the camaraderie, talking and sharing opinion and learning stuff. Because when I find that when I go to protests, we all have an assumption about what the people should look like that are going to support this cause. And then you meet people that don't fit that demographic, and you learn about people's background, why they're out there protesting. So I would have to say, like, being involved socially and actually marching, I don't know how impactful it is, but I do like just being around people who share the same opinions.
If we can gather to march 1 million strong, then why can't we gather in small groups to resolve one small problem in our own lives? If we can spend millions of dollars on anything and everything, then why can't we put money aside as individuals or a group to accomplish one small financial goal? If we can put aside our differences and speak to each other without anger or calling each other out of our names, and give love and respect to each other for a few hours while marching, then why can't we come together for a week to work on solving one small problem? When we recognize that we have to begin the most important undertaking in our history of saving ourselves, our children, and our communities, that in order to survive in the 21st century, we have to focus our time and energy on loving ourselves for ourselves, then we are marching more than 1 million strong.